Hey guys, this is Grandmaster Jerry Fastly Fontenot with another episode of Handmade Power Talk. Spoke Karate Illustrated and man, Unified Martial Arts Network. Today we'll be going all the way to the sushi side. That's right. And I don't mean Japanese food. I'm talking about my man from Virginia. Man, this guy got some skills since he was a young man, and now he's still a young man. I don't know if he's in Fountain of Youth or he had a Facebook or something, but this guy got some kicks that you would not believe. Original flavor and style, martial arts historian, and cool people overall. The martial arts, not just a world champion, a great instructor, and a promoter, one of the top events, up-and-coming events in the entire world. Without further ado, we ask Mr. Jeff Sushi Dorf in our house. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing stupid good and getting better, or something like that. Forget if it's stupid or super good. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So, Sushi, we're going back, so check this out. In the structure that we do this, we want to know what's your inspiration, desperation, and motivation when you started in martial arts. Now, if you don't hear me, it's because I put myself on mute, because it's not about me, it's about you. So shoot away, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I started at 4 years old in martial arts, and what actually got me into martial arts, a little different story, was that I was a huge wrestling fan, a pro wrestling fan, and my favorite wrestler was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and he used to come into the ring with a uniform, a gi, and he would do, martial arts moves and stuff, and so for me, that was the way that I was like, oh, I want to do that. It was either wrestling or karate, and so that was I kind of found a way to do that, and I started at 4 years old, and I went into a school actually. So my instructor at the time, I went into school at Lawrence Arthur, and he had it was professional karate school, not top 10. Top 10 was earlier, and he didn't actually at that. It was 88, so he didn't really have schools for 4-year-olds. Classes for 4-year-olds. So he told me come back, and I just joined a school at a dance studio or something. Did that for a year. He called me back 2 months later, said, "Hey, we have a class for you." I said, "Well, I'm already in another one. We're doing this for now." And I went to that school for a while. Then I went to another one for a year and a half. A guy named Charles Perry. And then found my way back with Lawrence Arthur at around blue belt range, and that's where I was at, and got my black belt under him. And it's not really the rest of history, but there was a lot of history there with Lawrence Arthur being. A lot of people don't really know that so many great martial artists came from under him or his system. People like Eddie Thomas, whose student was John Valera, Sean Elliott, David Scott, people nowadays like Edwin Alejandro, myself, Eric Wilson, Ron Ferguson, all kinds of great martial artists that have been around the years. And so I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia area, and so also you had Jimmy Horsley in the area, who was a legendary fighter, and Seneca Luther as well. So I had a lot of people to look up to and to, that I trained with, or also that I just knew that, hey, they were the best at their time, and they're from my area. So, people think, oh, well, Virginia or Lynchburg, I haven't really heard of that. But we have a lot of great talent that maybe people don't really realize are any great champions. So, and then I just kind of kept going from there. So my motivation after that was...
All right, so let me just interject, because if it wasn't for Lawrence Arthur, a lot of people would have never got new students, because I was a client of him back in 1988 when it came to the lead boxes. I know he's done new and improved version of it in recent years, but, he was also one of the first people in the martial arts business world to put together how to become a successful school on videotapes back in the day. So that's one of those questions that people just don't realize.
I was a part of some of those as well, so it was cool. We would go to the station and do help make them. He even had a weekly show on the local station for a while as well, just doing how-to videos things like that of self-defense and different things. And so definitely a revolutionary and still coming up with all kinds of new ways to help people and help their schools. So he has been, even to this day, a big influence in my life. So awesome guy.
Well, it's pretty interesting because he's a pretty powerful mentor to someone named Jesse Bowman, who's been right now.
Yes, sir, Jesse Bowman.
Getting ready to do his power talk, meaning Mr. Lawrence Arthur himself. In the last few weeks, Sushi, let's just switch gears for a second.
Yes, sir.
That's past, obviously, and then we have present and future. But in recent weeks, I believe you've seen some action on what would be social media, and I'm trying to expose people to some things. What do you think about that?
Some action on social media as far as for the things that you're doing, right? Yes, sir.
Yeah, the videos and things like that. Like, I'm trying to bridge the gap between generations.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a young old guy, you know.
A lot of people don't. Every time, it's the normal thing for me was always, oh, that was before your time. You don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm a student of the game, and that's what I feel like is part of what we need to do, and that's what I enjoy. Your post and because. And just going back and looking at old things, I don't even want to say old stuff, but, stuff that we need to get back to or find a new way of doing that we did once then, And I think it's great. And I hope that the instructor, because really it's on the instructors and our current instructors and promoters to push that. A child or a kid is only going to know what they're exposed to, so we have to expose them to different things. I'm pretty, happy with my students as far as, especially my top guys. They understand what I'm talking about as far as, and they have the same mentality as me as being different and not just doing the same thing what everyone else is doing. And I think that is what's pretty cool is because I've been able to show them that and be a leader and expose them to people that were the champs who I looked up to, and not just be a carbon copy of what everyone else is doing, especially for forms.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I noticed you're looking for some motivation and some new innovative things, and I posted that, hey, man, you could use some of that fast food original flavor if you want, bro, because no one's doing it anyway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm looking at that. I think that's a pretty interesting paradigm because a lot of people didn't know that it did forms. And
exactly. And I remember you doing forms, and that was actually probably one of the first. I'm trying to think when I was younger. I remember just seeing you do forms, and just years ago, early '90s. And I was young, and I'm 31 now. I'm about to turn 32. But I've been around, since 88, 89, and I remember a lot of stuff, too, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well,
most
that's
people
the whole
don't
thing.
remember what you
did. Well, that's the thing that I think is pretty interesting because with the power of the Internet, we get an opportunity to see things that, like an example, in the last 24 hours, there's 3 videos that I have not seen ever that was posted by one of my students. When I say one of my students, and there was a time we had the Fontenay karate operation had 1,000 students. So
yes, sir.
You could be a student and never train with me, but be taught by one of my students. Still makes you a student, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So but let's talk about, and again, the reason why I can respect your judgment and your originality and just your ability to a damn psychic itself is pretty impressive. Freaking backstab horse stance and basics. That's like nuclear physics today because people just don't understand. And that's why the last video that I put up, I actually was doing Kung Fu Dai, and people were like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you was doing Kung Fu Dai at an open tournament." Yeah, well, because if everybody was doing traditional, well, I would do freestyle, put on the music, and let me just kick and punch and do my thing in the open division. And if it was more of a open tournament, then I'm going to do a traditional one just to throw people off.
Exactly. And what's funny is, and I think that's why you and I have always, especially once I got older and we started talking, we always hit it off because we had that same mindset. And I always, and a lot of people always, when I was really getting, to make a name for myself, especially, I mean, I was young and I was a champion as a junior, but probably when I got most known was probably when I lost the most. When I started coming out with the intergalactic form, which was the form that I did to the intergalactic BC Boys, and I came out with
the talking hand right?
puppets. Yes, sir, the hand puppets. I had all the different things. I held a front kick and looked at my watch, my fake watch, wondered what time it was. I held a twist kick, which no one did before, inverted front kick. I did. Different combos. I was one of the first ones that did the. Yeah,
you licked the finger through the punch.
Yep. Yes, sir.
There's so many
different things.
So you actually sat down to figure out how to do some original flavor. You tapped into your brain as an artist.
And some of it, and some of it, just kind of came naturally, because it finally just, hit after years of doing stuff. And again, like you, I freestyle most of my stuff. Even then I had kind of set things, okay, I'm going to do this, but what am I going to do to lead up to that? It would just kind of come. And even to this day, it's the same thing. It's freestyle forms. Because, again, I think of it more like a fighting type mentality because I'm just going out there to perform, which I am, and I'm giving the show, but that person in front of me who's going in front of me, that's who I'm competing against, and I'm trying to beat them. I'm trying to, they're trying to take my spot, and I don't want that to happen. So that was always, my thing, and also just the originality. And when I did start, I looked up to John Belair. John Belair was my private lessons coach, and when I was 9, I started learning under him. And he lived about an hour from me. People forget that he's from Roanoke, Virginia, or around Roanoke, Virginia. And so I would go up there once a week and train. And John is nowadays people, he helped, start tricking with him and Carmichael and stuff. But John did everything with karate, and he was super fast. He wasn't flipping. He was doing jump kicks. He was doing different things. And so I always looked up to that, and that was the way, even at a young age.
Wait, but let's forget that John Valera, as opposed to a lot of his so-called peers, can also kick some butt.
Yes, exactly. He was a great fighter. He did
Valera could
everything.
Fight.
I mean, yeah, he could fight, and so and honestly, when he was first picked up on one of the one of the first junior teams, that was one of the main things he did was for the team fighting. So with the Junior Smash team. So
let's go back in time just to get it chronological. So now you started at age 4, and then a few things happened. Let's talk about when it was that you started in what would be competition. Because I know that you have a lot of people don't realize that your background in terms of teams is pretty deep and diverse, and
yes,
also I think your mom has a lot to do with the energy that you might have brought in.
Exactly.
Let's do some of that.
Yes, sir. So we'll go. I got my black belt. My goal. I was young. I was 9. I had already done karate 5 to 6 years, around 9, 10, and I wanted to get on the circuit. I did some things at that time. North Carolina, South Carolina, the dojo circuit, the different ones there, and like I said, started training with John Belair, and within a year started doing the circuit. My mom, my whole family was a complete, they support me no matter what. My dad travels for his job, and so some things would be, hey, I get my points for this. We'll use this for a tournament. We'll do this or that. And my goal was, my first year, I didn't, no one really knew what to expect. It was, okay, if you get in the top 5 in the first 5 tournaments, then we'll keep doing it. If not, then, we'll just do what we're doing right now, do some turns, big turns, but not really just follow the circuit big time. And, at that time I was doing NASCA. And so the first 5 tournaments, the first 3 I won first, and then the next 2 I got second. So my mom was kind of like, oh, well, I guess we're stuck now. But so, and she was a big motivator for me because even at the time, the tournament stuff wasn't really pushed at Lawrence's school at that time. Later on, it did. It was kind of on and off. It just depended on what was going on then. The more kind of I did it, then others started following, and so he kind of said, all right, well, let's do this or that. And that's kind of the way he's always done, kind of been into it sometimes not, which is, he has his thing for the school and his plan for it, and that has worked for him. But for me, that was my passion. I watched Karate Help Kicks Diabetes and those videos, and that was kind of my goal. I wanted to be a champion and win my division in NASCAR or NBL, so that way I could be on that show. And that was kind of my motivator throughout it. I won my first title in '95, and I was on the next Kick for Diabetes, Karate Helps Kick for Diabetes show in '96, '97, and '98. And so that was my goal, my motivating, because I just thought that was so cool. Those tapes are shown every tournament all across the nation. So if you get on that, people know who you are. You've in my mind, as a kid, I'm a star there. Looking up to guys like Seneca Luther, Stephen Ho, and that were on that show, I thought it was just awesome, as well as John Blair. So that was kind of where I went from there. I did get, in '96, I got picked up on my first big team. I was on a small team called Team Freestyle. Mike Kelly had a team for a little bit. It was just a bunch of forms guys. It was just different. It wasn't any sponsorship or anything like that. So it wasn't. I don't really consider it like a full-time team like Team Elite. So I got picked on Team Elite in 1996. Spencer Arrington called me up, and I decided, wanted me to be the junior for the team. And then we all show up at Diamond Nationals '96 and wearing candy cane uniforms, and kind of the rest is history as far as that goes. I mean, we had some of it was a great thing for me to be a part of at 12 years old, because I was around veterans like Anthony Price, Tony Young, Richard Plowden at the time, Gerald Dawson, and then also being around the new generation like Jody and Akin and Hector, and then some of the other juniors that I already known, like Jennifer Sandiaco and Peter Orlande. So it was great for me to be a part of that. And I also, from that, later on, like 6-7 months later, then they asked my mom to come on and be the manager of the team. So she started being the manager for Team Elite and helping out as well. So, as a youngster, of course, people were always like, oh, you're only on the team because your mom's the manager. I was like, no, I was on the team first, and I've been winning this for a long time. So, that kind of fire sometimes gets you, but it just makes you better. So it's just funny stuff that people say, growing up. And then, we went from there, and it just, it was just a...
Hey, I do have one quick question there, because...
Yes.
And, of course, I'm a little biased, and it's just a historical fact, and there's photos and videos to prove it. Peter Orlande was one of my students for a short while. As a little kid, you might see a picture in Facebook where he's in the front of the split as a little kid.
Yes, sir.
He's probably the last person, besides you, to be the original flavor and style.
Yeah. Agree.
And it saddens me that people don't even know who the heck he is a lot of times. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, exactly.
On any given day, he beat everybody. He beat everybody on any given day. We hear about Carmichael, bottom line. Weapons, too. Now, think about that. Yeah. His father turns around and starts a boombox that became the nation's freaking,
yeah.
standard.
For a good 5-6 years, everyone had that boombox.
And again, that to me is part of the sport karate history. Doesn't matter who did it. It belongs to all of us. Yes. And I say us, not us, it's us, USS, all of us. And the reason why, obviously, I'm doing this is because if I had a chance to only pick 300 people, like that famous movie that I love, The 300, you, Mr. Das, is one of my 300.
Well, thank you, sir.
To war. Now, that's what this is about, and it's my pleasure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I am a martial arts fan. I'm a martial arts fan, historian, or historian. Because there's a lot of stories out there.
Oh, yeah.
And it saddens me when people just do not either know any better or worse off, take the history and taint it by deletion.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, there's so many, and he is, it's funny to me when, all right, so when he first came out and he did the, I always call it the Peter kick, but people started calling it the gyroscope kick later on. Or, we call it the Peter kick.
It was the Linda kick. He called it the Linda kick. Yeah.
Yeah, a Linda kick, or even some people start calling it an illusion kick.
Right.
And I think now, technically, like, it's even in the NBL book, it's like gyroscope kick or something, I guess, and so that was something that, I'm like, no, that's Peter Londe's kick. Like, what are you doing? And I saw other people take it and do it whatever and call it something else. And I just always like, no, I'd always tell people, no, that's Peter Londe was the first one to do that. He's also the first one I ever saw do a K kick, a capoeira kick, a abattido. He's the first person I've seen do that at a tournament in a division. He was just, had so many things in flavor that he put, the breakdance in a different.
Yeah, the first 15 seconds of the form, right? There it is. Okay. Now, just by us saying that, then somebody else who had some original flavor but came really from what would be Peter's influence, and you have Butch Marks.
Yes, exactly. There you go.
Again, people that people don't mention.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and for me, that's someone who I always say Butch is the person that pushed me. Besides, at a young age, my biggest competition was Jimmer Santiago and Butch Marks. And those two are the ones that push me, in forms the most. And then, if I beat Jennifer in forms, then she was going to try to whoop my tail and then sparring, right after it. So I had to keep my guards up. But, they were two of the ones that pushed me and drove me. Butch and I were complete opposites as far as, he was more the high-flying one. And I was the kicker and the clean, as far as clean technique, I was more the cleaner one. He had a lot of the flavor. I was real intense. So we kind of, we were just a little kind of opposites, but we fueled off of each other. And him and he was one of my best friends in the circuit as well too. So it was always cool. And I always make sure that people know that he's the guy that like someone yesterday they put out this thing about 10 things about what NASCAR people need to do for forms and stop copying people and stuff, which is a great article. I don't know if you saw it, but they've said that it was cool when Daniel Sterling used to do flips or whatever because it was different, or round off to the corner. This isn't tumble pass. Everyone does it now, so it's not original, which I've been saying for years. I love it when even my students say that. They're like, yeah, that's great. Everyone does a round off flash kick. But when everyone does it, what does it matter? It doesn't make it cool anymore. But for me, the first ones I saw doing it were ones like Jimmy Sam and Butch Marks. Those were some of the ones that were really originating that stuff and doing some of the first flash kicks like Kim Do.
The host has joined the conference.
So